There's a layer of rock buried a few hundred feet under your feet right now that geologists call the Great Unconformity. Below it, over 1 billion years of Earth's history is just gone. Not eroded slowly, not buried gradually, erased. And nobody has ever fully explained why. By the end of this video, I'm going to show you the exact test 2 scientists designed to answer a question that sounds insane. How would we even know if someone was here before us? And I'm going to show you the one piece of evidence that made them stop treating it as a joke. In 2018, a NASA climate scientist and an astrophysicist published a paper with a deceptively simple question. If an industrial civilization existed on Earth millions of years before humans and it collapsed, would there be any evidence left at all? Not fossils. Fossilization is rare. Most of what lives and dies leaves nothing. Not ruins. Cities erode to dust in under 100,000 years. They weren't looking for bones or buildings. They were looking for a chemical signature. The same kind we're leaving right now, without meaning to. Here's the uncomfortable part. If you dug up the year 2026 100 million years from now, most of it would be gone. Your city, gone. Every hard drive, every book, gone. What survives is stranger. A thin, permanent spike in atmospheric carbon. Trace plutonium from mid-century weapons tests. Plastic, compressed into rock, forming a new kind of stone. A sudden vanishing of large land animals, all at once, geologically speaking. That's not a guess. That's the actual checklist scientists use to define our own footprint. It's called the Anthropocene signature. So the 2 scientists asked the obvious next question. If that's what we'd leave behind, has anyone checked whether it's already there? Buried, older than us, waiting. Before I show you what they actually found, if you're the kind of person who needs to know how a mystery ends, hit subscribe now, because the next one goes even further back, and I promise you won't see the ending coming. Which brings us back to that gap I mentioned at the start, the Great Unconformity. In the Grand Canyon alone, rock representing somewhere between 250 million and 1,200 million years of Earth's history is simply absent. One layer sits directly on top of another that's over 500 million years older, with nothing in between. The mainstream explanation is erosion. Massive glaciers scraping the crust bare before life got complex enough to leave much of a mark. Most geologists accept that. I want to be clear about that, because this isn't a conspiracy video. But erosion on that scale requires ice sheets that thick, that persistent, in a location that convenient, more than once, in exactly the windows we can't otherwise explain. Some geologists think that story does most of the work. A smaller number think it doesn't fully add up. Nobody thinks it's aliens, but almost everyone agrees on one thing that's much stranger than aliens. We would not be able to tell the difference between nothing happened here and everything happened here, and then it was erased. Here's the piece of evidence that made scientists stop treating this as a fun hypothetical. It's called the Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum. 56 million years ago, give or take. In under 20,000 years, a geological blink, global temperatures spiked 5 to 8 degrees Celsius. Massive amounts of carbon entered the atmosphere. Ocean chemistry shifted enough to dissolve shells on the sea floor. We know what causes that kind of spike today. Us, burning buried carbon, fast all at once. Nobody claims the PETM was caused by a civilization. The leading explanations involve volcanism and methane release. But when scientists ran the numbers, that 56 million-year-old spike is the one event in the deep past that produces a carbon signature close enough in shape to ours that, using our current methods, they could not rule it out. Not proof, Not even close to proof. But the first time the question stopped being, could this happen? And became, would we actually know if it already did? And that's where this stops being a story about the past. Because if a technological civilization can rise, alter its own atmosphere, and vanish so completely that 65 million years later, the only trace is a debatable line in a rock layer. That's not just a question about who came before us. It's a partial answer to a much bigger silence, the one astronomers have been listening for since the 1960s and never found. If civilizations don't last, and they don't leave marks anyone would recognize, the universe wouldn't sound empty because nothing's out there. It would sound empty even if something was. So did something come before us? Nobody knows. That's not a cop-out. It's the actual, honest answer, and it's stranger than a yes. Here's what we do know. We are, right now, writing our own version of that signature into the rock. Every one of us. Whoever, or whatever, finds it 100 million years from now is going to ask exactly the question I just asked you. And there's one more piece of this I didn't tell you yet. A signal, not a rock layer, that made a second team of scientists ask if the silence itself was ever really empty. That's the next one. If this pulled you in, subscribe.